Well, the Banking Association SA, representing the major banks, says they are taking necessary precautions to minimise disruptions and inconvenience ahead of that planned strike. Let's discuss now. We're joined by the MD of the Banking Association, Cas Coovadia, on the line. Cas, thank you very much. Will the strike go ahead, do you think?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Do you think the strike will go ahead?
Well, look, through BUSA, we have actually looked at this, and the strike is on the basis of a Section 77 notice at NEDLAC, which was actually issued at NEDLAC in August 2017. So that is now outdated, and we through BUSA have interdicted the strike, and we're expecting a ruling on Wednesday. So we'll know by Wednesday whether it goes ahead or not. Having said that, I think that we respect the right of unions to strike so long as it's within the context of the law and appropriate regulations are followed. And we are preparing, banks are preparing for the strike and are doing whatever is possible for them to do to minimize disruption for customers, to protect those staff that will be working, protect members of the public in case they are inconvenienced in any way.
Well, how serious, Cas, how serious could it be? SABC mentioning ATMs could be affected. Is that possible?
Well, what banks are doing is to ensure that, one, to interact with the clients, with the customers, to see that those clients and customers who can actually do the banking business before Friday without inconveniencing them in any way. We encourage them to do their business and do the banking during the course of the week and minimize activity on Friday. We certainly would encourage people to use electronic banking platforms and instead of coming into branches. We will ensure and take the necessary security measures, but ensure that ATMs do have the necessary cash so that people aren't inconvenienced. But, we will do everything that is in our power to do, and we will then assess this during the course of Friday. The strike does go ahead, and if we need to take any additional steps in the event of disruption occurring, then we would obviously look at those on the day. But in the meantime, we are taking the necessary precaution, and banks are individually interacting and informing and communicating with clients to actually try to minimize any disruptions.
When was the last banking strike? It seems so rare. Nobody in our office could remember one. Is that because the bar is very high? So these consultations in NEDLAC are about socio-economic concerns. It has to be proven that those are serious. Just tell us how high that bar is.
Well, the bar is quite high. So unions need to actually demonstrate that there is a necessity to strike, that the issues at hand are such that they cannot be resolved in any other way. Attempts have been made to resolve the issues with employers and so on. I think what you also need to understand is that the banking industry does not have a social central bargaining council, and so individual banks have their own interactions and dealings with the union. The industry body, BASA, is not involved in those because we're not an employer body and we're not mandated to get involved in the interaction between individual banks and the unions. And I'm informed, and SABC has been, and I have no doubt in saying remains, a union that's been pretty interactive with individual banks where they are active, and has been party to processes to actually deal with employee-related issues, and there have been discussions with SABC even in the run-up to this. But look, I think the issue here is that we're in a situation in our country where the economy is extremely weak, where jobs are difficult to get by. It's difficult to actually retain jobs when the economy is not growing. Banks depend on a growing economy. So the business of banks comes from providing services and support to corporates and individuals who participate in a growing economy. And if the economy is not growing, banks' volumes of business is flat, as was evident from results of the banks in the last few months. And that has an impact on whether they're able to retain staff or not. So I think that
very quickly, Cas, sorry, we're running out of time, but Standard Bank saying that 1,200 jobs could be lost, then going and closing more branches than expected. It's a horrible time for banking employees. So you're saying that you understand their concerns, and is there any danger that the banks could just start using digitization and the poor economy as an excuse to lay off people unnecessarily?
No, absolutely not. It's not in the interests of a bank, either reputationally or politically, to let people go because you get significant pressure if you're retrenching people. The reality, digitization and working of different banking platforms is a customer-driven phenomenon. Banks aren't changing their business model simply because they want to change them. They're changing them because customers are demanding services the way they are, when they want them, through whatever platforms that are convenient to them. And this is a global phenomenon. It's not a South African phenomenon. And so that's the reality we're facing with, and over and above that in South Africa, an economy that's not growing. And I think what we need to do is all stakeholders to put our heads together to see how we address the underlying causes that's actually stopping the economy from growing.
All right, thank you very much. The MD of the Banking Association, SA, Cas Coovadia. We'll see if that strike goes ahead on Friday. The bank's trying to stop it in the courts. Now,